right, guess what? Okay, today it's super exciting because we're going to talk about false reality and how to get out of 2D and into 3D, 5D, and beyond. So, this is super exciting because this is when I can really start getting out of the two-dimensional world and moving into a more light and expanded place. It's super exciting. This is one of the keys to everything, and also it's like putting a lot of this is a pivotal point where we're wrapping up and putting a lot of the pieces together. So you've gotten a bunch of keys, and some of them, or all of them, they're about the disharmonic and the harmonic system. And so we've really been learning all these little keys so that we can understand these bigger things. And today we're putting them all together, okay? So, let's go back. Okay, so today is going to be this week is going to be a little different. And so how it's going to work is that it's going to be kind of video activity and worksheet all in one. And so I invite you to go get your notebook if you haven't already, and really get ready to kind of do some more interactive, thoughtful learning today. And so with that, right, we're going to start with the disharmonic system. So grab your notebook and think about a time when you were triggered and then everything became chaotic. Right, like this, all these circles. So, and you can write down these questions here. So think about this. Did you feel safe in that situation? Were you actually safe? How fast were you talking? And how about others? Where were you? What was around you? And was there a fog of confusion? And so we don't need to figure out any answers or clarity on the situation. We're not looking back to get clarity on what happened. We're more looking back to get clarity on what was going on in the middle of it, right? So just feel free to pause and answer these questions. How are you feeling in the moment of it? What was happening in the moment? Okay, and then so in the harmonic system, let's think of a time when you were triggered and then everything became clear and resolved. So again, we're gonna write down, did you feel safe? Were you actually safe? How fast were you talking? How about others? Where were you? What was around you? And why was everything so clear? Okay, so within that, so feel free to pause the video and really take your time in answering these questions and have these two situations in mind. Okay, so now let's look here. We've got the disharmonic and harmonic system, right? Systems. So on our left, just kind of stare at these circles and kind of notice the energy that you're feeling, what's coming up in your body. If you feel any desires, any impulses to change what you're seeing or to move the circles around, or what are you feeling? What are you noticing coming up inside yourself when you look at the circles on the disharmonic side? Okay, then let's move to the harmonic side. So now look here and notice what's coming up inside of you. How do you feel? Just kind of zone out and stare at the center or move around your eyeballs. And you might notice that they become 3D when you stare at them in a certain way. And they start moving and making a little portal. Yeah, so that's the exciting things that we can do with energy when it's in balance and true alignment. Okay, so in the disharmonic system, right, we have these roles that we've been talking about. So the savior, the victim, and the antagonist. So these are the roles of the addiction cycle, which is also the codependency cycle. And then we also have these reactions to trauma. So we have fight, rah, freeze, and flight, which is running away. So everyone has these 3 responses, and they stem from trauma. And yeah, they look different for everyone. So they're also connected to attachments. And so frequently these things happen because of how we attach to our parents. And when you have, there's a secure attachment that looks more like the harmonious system, and then there's an insecure attachment which kind of plays into the disharmonic system. And in the insecure attachments, you have anxious attachment, which is connected to fight because you're worried about something not being there, so then you start fighting to get it. And then you have over here on the right the avoidant attachment, which maybe you just run away from something. And then in the middle, you have chaotic attachment, where everything just seems so uncontrollable that you just freeze. And frequently in this place, people will shut down. And so everyone is going to look different in these 3 different phases or reactions to trauma. Okay, but all of this really happens, this disharmonic system, all of the things that don't feel good to us, a lot of it really happens because we want to connect with people. And a lot of us haven't been modeled healthy boundaries or healthy ways of connecting with people. So that's kind of where we're at right now, is learning about healthy ways of connecting with people. And by healthy, I just mean like what feels good to you and what feels good to me. And yeah, so here we have person A and person B. Okay, and so in this, everyone is a fucking circle, and we've got person A, person B, and the red line here is the connection. It's their connection. So on the left side here, we have the disharmonic system, right? And this is the 2 people wanting to grow that connection. And what they do is they move into each other. And so see how this line, the red line, the connection is bigger, but it's bigger at the expense of the individual. So look how small A and B are compared to over here. It's just kind of like, whoa, yeah, this great big connection, but we're losing some stuff here. And how many times have you heard someone say, I feel like I'm losing myself in this relationship? Well, this image is a visual representation of that energy. And so the alternate thing, that an option that we have in this kind of situation where we want to grow our connection is over here on the harmonic side. And so look how much bigger A is over here than over here. So if A goes from a place of centered empowerment and gets bigger, this allows space, but it doesn't move towards B. This allows B to get bigger on their own. And what this does is the connection naturally grows. And so see here on the right and here on the left, the connection is about the same, but both circles are now bigger, and they even have more of themselves there. And so this allows for the connection to naturally grow. Okay, and so the push-pull dynamics. So in the disharmonic system, you have these push-pull dynamics of that create this chaotic codependency downward spiral. And it's this push-pull, and a lot of it is over time and about people's time. And on the right, in the harmonic system, we have divine timing. And so what happens here is, let's say you have two people here and one goes this way and one goes this way. And what happens is they both go on and they do their thing, trusting that they're going to meet back up when the timing is right. And so they go their own way and then they meet back up when the timing is right. They go their own way and they meet back up when the timing is right. And this time when they are doing their own thing feels so good because they trust that this point is going to come again. And so that fear of abandonment, that fear of loneliness, all those other fears aren't quite as loud or present in this situation because they trust they're going to go on their own and meet back up when the time is right. Yeah, so in the harmonic system, there is this other type of energy, which is not push and pull. It's this trusting and allowance in divine timing. Okay, so here we go. This screen there's a lot going on here, and there's only a few things I really want you to pay attention to on the screen though. So on the right side, we have the disharmonic system, and we have fight, freeze, and flight. So fight and flight are your sympathetic nervous system. So this is where there's reaction. So in the disharmonic system, there's a lot of reaction. And so in the harmonic system, on the left here, we have harmonic system where we can just kind of chill, right? Because we're trusting in divine timing. And here's where we can make a response. And you know, some people call this the rest and digest. So this is your parasympathetic nervous system. And so I want to point out here, just these couple crucial things is there. So on the left here, right, the parasympathetic nervous system is located right here, close to your pineal gland. And the stuff down here, the sacral nerves, those are located down here, close to your root chakra, okay? And the other side, the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, flight, and freeze, that's located more in here. So there's actually like a physical difference in where these two nervous systems are located. And so the only thing I want you to really take away from this slide is that I want you to understand that there is a physical difference in your body from when you are in a reactionary state, in the disharmonic state, and when you are response able in the harmonic state. Okay, and so to sum everything up so far, there's the disharmonic state, which is codependency and the addiction cycle, these push-pull dynamics, and the sympathetic nervous system, which is fight, freeze, and flight. The harmonic state is balanced and centered connections, allowance for divine timing, and your parasympathetic nervous system is letting you just chill. Okay, so now we get to move into some exciting stuff. Let's take a breather. Just kind of like soak in everything, the difference between those two states. And let's just inhale a little bit here. Exhale. Inhale. So we're going to move into densities and dimensions. And so to do this, let's do the chakra aligning and balancing meditation that all of you have participated in so far. And that's the one where we're going to send the energy down and then up through all the chakras and out the head. So start gathering your chi ball into your sacral chakra. And I'm just gonna feel that you're ready about now. So inhale, exhale through your root, send that blue ball through your root, connect to the earth, and inhale back up to the sacral chakra and out the back of the sacral chakra. Inhale to the center. Exhale at the front of the sacral chakra. Inhale to the center. Exhale down. Inhale up into the power chakra. Exhale at the back of the power chakra. Inhale to the center of the power chakra. Exhale at the front of the power chakra. Inhale to the center of the power chakra. Exhale down, push and launch up. Inhale to the heart chakra. Exhale out the back of the heart chakra. Inhale to the center. Exhale at the front of the heart chakra. Inhale to the center. Exhale down. Inhale up to the throat chakra. Exhale at the back of the throat chakra. Inhale to the center of the throat chakra. Exhale at the front of the throat chakra. Inhale to the center of the throat chakra. Exhale down. Inhale up to the third eye. Exhale at the back of the third eye. Inhale to the center. Exhale at the front of the third eye. Inhale to the center. Exhale down. Inhale down. Exhale out to the crown chakra. And feel the pyramid float around you. And then go down into the cube. And then down into the sphere. And come back to look at the screen. Great. So we're going to get into some good stuff now. We're talking about densities and dimensions. So here's the prism of Lyra. I've talked about it a whole bunch. It talks about how dimensions are really densities of light. So that's what we're going to be looking at. And definitely recommend this book. It's a great resource. It's only about 200 pages. This is the old cover. This is the new cover. Wonder why they changed it. But I love the crazy alien book, you know? Okay. So one of the things that the Prism of Lyra does is it talks about the different densities and it really breaks them down. And so we're going to go through a couple of them now. And we're going to start with the first density. So in 1D, this is awareness as a point. So right here, right, we've got this fucking atom. How much more of a point can you get? So yeah, so you've got the nucleus, right, which contains protons and neutrons, and you've got electrons. So this is the atom. And so in the first density, the Prism of Lyra talks about how this is the core elements that make up everything. So on the right here, these are a couple things that I was guided to. So I was guided that the 3 core elements are actually water, light, and love. And we'll be talking about these more later, so you don't need to remember them in detail right now. But just the basics is that, so, right, we've got water is in the center, the light are the electrons, and they're actually science is starting to prove that light actually has their own molecules. And also, so the stuff in between the atom. So for years, Cryon has been saying that the stuff in between atoms is love. It's the vibration of love. And so that's what's going on here. And scientists are finally starting to figure out that something is inside of there. And Cryon says it's love. Okay. So this is really important, what I want to share with you. Okay, so on the left here, we have this crazy alien book that has been channeled by someone, and who you can see when you look it up. So this, hold on, I've got it right here. Let me just, it's written by Lisa Royale and Kenneth Priest, right? So anyway, it's channeled, it's an exploration of human galactic heritage. And so when you read it, you can use your heart filter and you can kind of just like feel what resonates with you and feel the resonance of truth in there. Or if you disagree with something, explore that. But so what it talks about is the first density to the seventh density, okay? So we've got the first density to the seventh density is discussed in this book. On the right here, we have this book called The Practice of Adaptive Leadership, Tools and Tactics for Changing Your Organization and the World. And what I want to let you know about this book is that this is one of the books that I read and had a class on in my master's in organizational management. So this is a business program, this is a business book, and this entire book is about 2D and 3D. Yes. So this book, Crazy Alien Book, and this book, Business blah, 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 official book, they're talking about the same stuff. They're not using the same words, but they're talking about the exact same fucking thing. It's so cool. So obviously this book is not using the words 2D and 3D, so I'm going to translate a lot of the things from the stuff that I learned in this book. And so by taking this crazy downloaded alien stuff and then taking all this stuff that basically it's all just people, it's the similarities are people wrote these books, and people wrote these books based on the patterns that they see and the messages coming to them. And so it's super cool. So using the knowledge from the prism of Lyra and the adaptive leadership, we can put all this together to have a more clear picture of it, because they're talking about the same thing, but they're using different language. So it's super exciting. Okay, so the prism of Lyra talks about the second density, and it is an awareness as a line, right? So that means it connects 2 points, right? So you have this point and this point, and it connects these 2 points. The prism of Lyra calls this biological matter. So they also talk about 3D. So 3D is the third density, and they say that this is volumetric awareness. And so based on the adaptive leadership and everything is there, I'm actually going to call this emotional matter. So yeah, we're going to call it 3D emotional matter, volumetric awareness, emotional matter. Okay. So we got biological matter, emotional matter. And so as the adaptive leadership says, is that these 2 different densities have different rules. Okay, so the second density has this rule of this or that, and that or this. And so here you can have this, but you cannot have that, and you can have that, but you cannot have this. So this is just basic logic. You can look, if you're super into this kind of stuff, you can look up logic things, and it goes by this logic, this or that or this. So that is the rules and the logic of the second density. So yeah, so there's that. So the example that they use, I believe, in adaptive leadership, or an example I love to use, is so in the second density, what happens is I have a glass that's full of liquid here, and I hold it up. If I drop this glass, it will fall and it will break, right? And so there is no other option. Because we have like gravity and stuff, you know. So that's how that works, is that's how these rules work there, right? You have one option or another option. Okay. And then, but how the 3D works is you have this, that, and this and that. And so you can have multiple experiences in emotional matter that are happening simultaneously. And in the 3D world, this, that, and this and that don't negate the others. They can all coexist together. And so one of the things that the adaptive leadership book talks about is how the reason we have the disharmonic system and the chaos that comes with the disharmonic system is when people put the rules of the 2D world onto the emotional world of the 3D. Okay? And so let's look at what that looks like, right? So adaptive leadership, again, talks about how using 2D rules for emotional matter creates a false reality, a reality that doesn't actually exist, okay? And again, that's 2D rules onto the 3D creates a false reality. So, right, so false reality, what that does is it is full of duality, and it frequently looks like lack mentality, where someone is seeing lack with inside themselves or inside others. Then it's also full of comparison, competition, and the victim savior antagonist paradigms, right? So again, this is using the 2D rules for emotional matter, creates this false reality. Okay, and that's right, you might have caught that. We've been talking a lot about these roles, savior, victim, and antagonist. And guess what? They don't exist. These don't actually exist. There is no fucking savior, there is no fucking victim, and there is no antagonist. They don't actually exist. Whenever these are present, it is only a symptom and a sign that there is a ghost, because it is a false reality that someone feels that they are currently stuck in, but they're not actually stuck in anymore. Okay, we'll get into that more, but just want you to understand that, yeah, these roles we've been talking about, whoosh, whoosh, false reality. Okay, so examples of false reality. So again, this is using 2D rules for emotional matter. So person A, person B, and then we have equals false reality. So, and that's expressing lack, and then someone reacts to lack. Expressing duality, someone reacts to duality. Compares, and then reacts to the comparison. Acts competitively, and then reacts competitively, right? So, for example, so I'm going to give a couple examples, and then I'd like you to pause the video and write down your own examples, at least 4 of them, 1 for each category, and see how that creates a false reality. So I'm going to give an example. So let's see. So if someone expresses lack, so they kind of think, oh, that person is beautiful, therefore I'm not beautiful. Let's say they say something like that to you, and then you react as if they aren't beautiful because you are beautiful, right? Then this creates this false reality. And you could also kind of think that of kind of, stinks like that ego space, right? That like false ego. So if that's another way you want to think of it, that works too. So that's my example that you got, and you can pause and just kind of go into some of these, at least 4 of these situations. You can pull from your real life, or you can make up your own. Okay, great. Right, and so we have, in the disharmonic system, it's all about reactions. So reacting to your trauma or to the trauma of someone else. That's what happens in the disharmonic system. And in the harmonic system, we have response. We're able to be responsible. We take responsibility for our trauma, which means we're able to make a response, right? So 100% response able, and we're able to pause and make a response rather than a reaction. Okay, so what do you do when one of your ghosts comes up or a ghost of someone else comes up? Okay, well, you have this option of just chillaxing and asking yourself these questions, right? So you can ask yourself, am I safe? Breathe. You have a lot of tools, and continue to get more, because this is, it's not always the easiest to stay grounded or to stay in your body when your ghost comes up, but you can, so for example, one of the things I do, physical things are always good to keep yourself in your body. When I forget something as I'm talking, when you're speaking and your mind goes blank, it's frequently because you were triggered about something. So your soul will leave for a moment. And you might notice, if you've talked to me a lot, that I snap 3 times. I snap 3 times to bring myself back in my body, and usually I remember whatever I lost instantly, and I'm able to pick up exactly where I left off. So you might see me doing that. But you can kind of create your own thing to kind of try to bring yourself into your body. And yeah, go ahead and practice that. But so if you're able to succeed and not leave your body, right, you can ask yourself, am I safe? What do I really believe? How can I help myself? And how can I help this person? So for example, let's say one of your friends comes to you and they're just super pissed off. And you can really just chillax and realize this is a ghost. Right? So we've got like a ghost here. What? And you can just be like, okay, am I safe? Yeah, I'm cool. I'm just sitting here on this bench looking pretty cool. Yeah. And then what do I really believe? Well, I really believe that I didn't do anything wrong and I really care about my friend. So how can I help myself? Well, how I can help myself in the situation is I can stay calm and keep breathing. So right now I'm just going to focus on breathing. How can I help this person? Okay, well, this person sounds like they need to be heard because something is going on for them. So I'm going to try to listen to this person right now without taking anything they say personally, because I realize that they are ghosty as fuck right now. Cool. So I'd love for you to think about a situation where someone, it could even be the same disharmonic situation, but you can think about a situation where you or someone or like came up to you and you now looking back realize that they were triggered. And I'd like you to sit and pause this video and write down these 4 questions and go back to that moment and ask yourself, and then see how that moment plays out differently when you ask yourself these questions. And so by practicing this right now, when we're in a safe container, it will help you practice it in the future. So take this moment to go to your past self and like rechange this situation a little bit. Okay, have fun with that. Great, now that you're back. So here's what we do is we use these symptoms as clues, right? So fight, freeze, and flight. Whenever someone comes up to you in a fight mode, whenever someone looks like they're frozen and they're shut down, whenever someone is running away from you, it's all symptoms of trauma. It's all symptoms of someone avoiding fear, and it's a sign that one is not looking at trauma. So you can help them look at the trauma, but I also want you to understand that there's a difference between someone who is actively being traumatized or who's actively reliving a traumatic moment. They, at that point, might not be ready for someone or to be brought out of that. They might need to go into that trauma and to look at things more clearly so that they can unravel and learn from the trauma that they experienced. So if someone is in that place, you can hold a different kind of space for them and just letting them go through their process of dealing with the trauma. And it might look like this, you know, they might be screaming their head off, they might be holding themselves, and you can ask them what they need to feel safe in that moment. And it's not about stopping their experience. It's not about telling them to stop crying. It's not about them to do anything like that. You're really giving them time and space to feel safe, to go back to that horrible moment and to rechange that story. So if you can help them feel safe in that moment for them to have their authentic expression of whatever trauma it is, that's a real gift. Okay, and so one of the most important things with this is to recognize the difference between the God voice and the trauma voice, right? God voice, trauma voice, hello, right? Okay, so these have a different vibration to them and a different resonance, and we can really, there's a big difference. So on the right here, we've got God voice, right? So let's ask ourselves, right? So, and if you want, you can pause and you can write about these things. You can journal about them. So we've got the God voice. What does my soul truly want? What voice knows what's truly in my best interest? What feels difficult, but my soul really craves it? And what is the next step on the path to being my best self? Okay. So yeah, it's about sorting out these different voices within ourselves so that we can also then see it more clearly in other people. But the first step is really like getting this clear in ourselves. So I invite you to pause and write and journal about those things. And then on the left, when you're done with that, we have the trauma voice. So, sorry for making light of the trauma voice. I should probably be more serious here because it is serious. And you guys also know that I think playing with demons is fun. So we've got that. So, but it's also very serious, right? So there's the trauma voice. And this is where you can look at what is truly safe. Do I want the ghost to feel safe in my body? Do I want people to like me when my ghost is dominant? Do I want to attach to the behaviors of the ghost? And do I want to believe the horrible stories about myself and others that the trauma tells me? Yeah, those are a lot, right? So I invite you to pause and to journal about those. So if you're not feeling called to journal right now in a really in-depth way, another thing that you can do is you can just write down those questions. And the simple act of writing them down is gonna help your your body start to think about it and have these questions really integrate into your daily thoughts. Okay, so at minimum, if you don't feel like journaling right now, just write them down. Just copy them. All fails, just copy shit, and then it will all work out later. Okay. Right, and so we're really moving into this harmonic state. And look how pretty it is. And this is a place where we're 100% response able, right? Able to pause and make a response rather than a reaction. Okay, and so here's the truth. The truth of the situation is that people have trauma, okay? And so people are going to fight, people are going to run away, and people are going to freeze up. People have trauma. It's about noticing it, okay? And so there's this thing called trauma sensitive, right? So we can be trauma sensitive. So when someone is actively triggered, we can realize this and try not to get triggered ourselves. So, but sometimes there's no avoiding getting triggered in response to other people due to our own ghosts. But if we all trust that we're doing our best to work through our own trauma and not taking the trauma of others personally, we can be in the harmonic system while still processing our trauma. And so harmony is not a world where we don't have trauma. It's where we all feel safe to look at, accept, and heal from the trauma. Okay. So I just want to repeat that one more time, is that the harmonic state is not a situation where we don't have trauma. It's just where we feel safe to look at the trauma and to move on. Okay, so the harmonic conversations. So I've got follow the truth here. And so this is similar to follow the yes and follow the truth. This is follow the truth in conversations, right? Harmonic conversations. So here we have person A, person B, and where person A and person B meet. And so these two people have different experiences, different pasts, different trauma lens, and they're just different, right? Okay, so there's actually a trick here with this diagram that will teach you something. And so it's really good to have this diagram in your face. And I know it seems very simple. This is the Vesica Pisces, but it has so much charge and energetic meaning behind it. So, okay, so the secret to having harmonic conversations without going into trauma stories at all. So both or all people must trust the following rules. So anything that doesn't make sense to you is not about you, and it's about the other person and their trauma. Okay? And everything said is true from that person's point of view. So if you look for how it is true and focus on the truths, you can drop the other things and you can just keep going and move forward by taking the truths. So most triggers are about safety or an unmet need. So if you focus on the unmet need and finding that out, So ask, what do you or the other person need to feel safe right now? So there's going to be two things going on there. There's going to be like an unmet need from their childhood, and there's going to be what they need right now in the moment to feel safe. And so in the overall situation of their healing, the unmet need from childhood might be different than what they need right now in the moment to feel safe. And so here's a place where you're going to have to realize that, so let's say we're person A, person B, what they need from their childhood to feel safe is going to have nothing to do with you. But right now in the moment, what they need to feel safe does have to do with you and is something you can possibly give them. So that's something to feel into and to see while you're in a place with someone who's triggered or you're triggered yourself. And again, so the truth of it is just, you can follow the truth. So trust their intention and trust your intention, and just take what resonates and then leave the rest. And this is the key to really making quantum leaps in talking with people and in conversations, and really moving out of false realities and two-dimensional conversations, and just follow the truth, be the truth, and move with the truth, and just let go of the other things. Okay, cool. So now we're going to get some time to practice examples of harmonic responses. And so this is using 3D rules for emotional matter. Okay, so in 3D, right, we can have this, that, and this and that, right? So if you are beautiful, that doesn't make me less beautiful. It just makes us fucking different, And so if you have money, if you have money, and I don't have money, it's not that you having money makes it so that I can't have money. It's just that we're fucking different, right? And so there's these different places, right? So let's look at this. Make up some of your own little things. They can be from your own experiences. I invite you to pause the video and really go into this, right? So person A, someone expresses lack. And you can think of like, oh man, you can also think of like, the best way to do this, I find, is think of like the things that really annoyed you. And frequently it's this kind of stuff. And especially because of the type of people that we are, this is the kind of stuff that's annoying us right now, is when people do this. But the thing is we can notice when people do this, but we haven't yet mastered this totally, is the responding from a harmonious place using the 3D rules for emotional matter. So we're going to practice that now so that we can continue to move into that place, okay? So pause and go through this, right? So someone expresses lack. What's a response you could give that doesn't have lack? And so that's harmony, right? And so someone expresses duality, right? And then how do you respond to that without duality? And so someone compares you with them. How do you respond without that comparison? Because you don't want to feed into that comparison, right? Sometimes people act like they're just complimenting you, but really they're comparing, and so what's the difference there, and how do you respond without comparison? Okay, and then acts competitively. So how do you respond to people acting competitively from a non-competitive place? And so all these will be in the harmonic system. And so as you can see, just because someone approached you with these false realities, you have the choice to respond from actual reality in the harmonic system, where you don't believe in lack, you don't believe in duality, you don't believe in comparison, and you don't believe in competition. And so it's about, we're learning how to consistently move in to a place where we can respond from a harmonic place even when we're met with false realities. Therefore, flipping things into harmony and not getting caught in other people's false realities or our own false realities. Okay, so go ahead and write your things. Great, now that you're back, that is the end. Welcome to 4D. Woo-hoo-hoo. So 4D is all about time. So next time we learn about the effects of time and real time travel. Yay! My favorite, as you guys know. Okay, so I'm super stoked. Next time we're gonna fucking talk about time, and we're moving into 4D, the fourth dimension, which is time, and this creates a portal for us to move past 4D and into 5D, 6D, and 7D. Okay, so this is super exciting place. We've put all these pieces together, and now we get to start time traveling. Woohoo! Okay, thanks, dude, for hanging in here, and see you next time.